Good now? Okay. Today with GKR, we learned about plumbing. Austin, pull your pants up.
Hey now.
Are we live? Okay. So, thanks to our wonderful EV vendor that we love so much, Legacy EV. We've got our schematics here, just kind of the basic schematics of our entire wiring system, which all of this I'm not going to talk about today because this is the battery box and it's got its own kind of system together. We're going to bring stuff out of this that eventually is all this wiring, but right now we're focusing on the battery box. Last time you saw it, we kind of built it with some cardboard, but here it is right now. Again, the wonderful B footage you'll get. We'll show the cool kind of stuff we did with it. But right now we're essentially, we've got these two batteries in right here. You can kind of see that and how it's working. We've got our circuit boards that essentially convert the language of Tesla over to the BMS that we're using, which BMS is the battery management system. I won't bore you with another whiteboard explanation, but it's essentially the brains of the batteries to make sure they don't get too hot, too cold, kind of keep them in that Goldilocks zone of performance. And right now you'll see two here. There'll be one here and two here, so that's 5, and we've got 7 total. So we're gonna put the other 2 up front, like we had mentioned. I'm starting to kind of, draw probably as good as my children do. Inlet and outlet ports for both the plumbing that we had kind of talked about, which I'll get to, and the wiring. And the reason I'm kind of doing the wiring now is because I'm OCD and I want this to look amazing. So I want to know where the wiring is going to be so I can know where the plumbing needs to be. And for me, the wiring is a little bit easier in and out because the plumbing, we don't want to have it in kinks and random angles because, you've got coolant flow. So I want to get how I want the electrical side figured out first, so that way I can go to the back and work on the plumbing side, which we'll show in just a second. But you can just, get a head start on when we start to talk about the electric side. And, maybe we could call this like a turbo setup, the hot side and the cold side. The hot side's the electrical, the cold side's the coolant. But anyways, that's just me ranting. This is called a bus bar. Essentially kind of like I explained in the whiteboard explanation the other day, except just a different version. These will connect, these two batteries in here. You'll have one wire coming in here, connecting to this side, one coming out here, going over to here, to this battery, and then this battery going out, and so on and so forth. That's just the kind of base electrical setup for this. For the plumbing side, let's go to the other side. This side, we got these disconnects. You see these on GM, Ford, anything. The fuel side for the most part, but okay. Come on now. Woo. There we go. Piece of skin came off. So these, they'll click up on there, and then they'll be sealed. And essentially this, we'll go to this one, and we'll bring this one out, and this one out, which will then flow. They'll connect like I showed in that whiteboard explanation. But right now, with the angles that I was talking about, there is, I'm over here, I promise. The same nozzles here, and we're using all AN fittings. Like I said, OCD, I want this to look like really cool. We're going to have this in here, so that way when this comes out up through here, what can I do? I keep cutting myself. This will, these are the different size. We'll have to bring these up through here and out into the next one, so forth and so, as we go through. One more piece. So then, you know, what it'll look like in the end is, you know, something clean like this. And, you know, we'll have the hosing coming across and looking really nice. So the plumbing, you know, the nice thing, like I mentioned about making this battery box kind of come out, is I'm building this box right here, and we're going to seal it up, close it up, and it's really just going to have a few plugs here and there after it goes back in the car to just plug right up and go. So surprise, we're in the back of the car again. You know, you've seen the motor, it looks cool. But now we're just kind of placing some stuff, you know, where these things are gonna go. We've taken the battery boxes out, so I know kind of what my, you know, parameters are. But, you know, I think, so we've got the original air conditioning lines coming up there, and we've got the air conditioning, you know, pump and all that good stuff over there, essentially. The DC to DC converter is over here, only because of weight, because the battery is going to be over there. Still kind of deciding what side we want to put it on. The cooling radiator and fan, there's going to be two of them, one on each side. They'll be up in the cubby hole here. I just set it there for now. Trying to figure out where we want to mount them up in here. One's for the two controllers, and then the other one's for the battery system. We've got fresh airflow coming in right here from these vents that'll, you know, give it that air that it needs, and then it'll go out the back and up under, and then there's a vent through the back of the rear latch, or rear hatch. And then our charger here, there's going to be two of these chargers. You know, we're going to have the controllers back here, and I think we'll have these two chargers back here on kind of a plate. That way when you open this, you know, you've kind of got all this cool hardware kind of, I don't know how, you know, techie look. That looks pretty cool. So I think it'll kind of help break up, you know, the square battery boxes. And yeah, we're just kind of placing stuff now and just making sure weight doesn't seem too wildly off. And so yeah. All right, so now we're under the front of the Lotus. You know, you had seen the picture or the video of the 5 battery box in the back that's going where the old engine used to be. And I think I'd mentioned a few hundred times that we're going to put 2 batteries up front, kind of, you know, level out the weight addition that we're doing. Since the radiator's out now, this battery box fit perfect, and it really, like, it fits about as literally perfect as possible, because I mean, I'm talking like a millimeter. You know, you gotta shove it up there, wedge it up in there, but it fits. Kind of lays up on this front valance up here, and then hits up against this kind of rectangular. It's almost like the front crash guard, but it's actually the front of the chassis that the upper and lower control arms come off of for the front. You know, lots of good structure there to kind of bolt to, and we're not going to cut into it and like weld anything into it. One, it's aluminum. I don't want to, you know, do too much with that and mess with like the strength. So what we're doing here is we're building these little mounting tabs here, and as you can see, they're going to go on the end of this little rectangle on each side like this, and then on the other side, the front side of this battery box, is going to be a plate that also has little tabs sticking out, and the holes that you see here will have either like some all thread or a long grade 8 bolt. We'll cinch that down and tighten it down, and what that'll do is it'll squeeze it up against that flat rectangular bracket up in the front of this chassis, and essentially become one with the chassis. And then I'm going to put a little lip down here just to kind of keep up and down movement kind of at a minimum. But besides that, this is actually, you know, with this 2 battery box that we got from Ampervolt, it's almost like it was made just for this, you know, so that's really cool. Sometimes you take the wins with fabricating and not have to overthink things too much. Luckily here we didn't have to. All right, so I promised plumbing, so here's some plumbing. Right now we are getting all the AN stuff built. You know, it takes a little work, I use all these special tools to get everything together. You know, a lot of the video so far has been, you know, the game planning of where everything's going to go now that we've got the runs done, and you know, the boxes, of course, where they need to be. It's the AN stuff, the cool stuff, the expensive stuff, and these kind of have a cool little gray kind of line through them that kind of adds a little, you know, spiffiness. But since he's working up on the front battery box, I'm on the back working up here. But you'll get to see what I'm doing up here with some cool B-roll. And from here, we are kind of just plumbing in the radiator, the reservoir, and then this back battery box. But you'll see some cool shots of that here in a second. So getting these in there, now that we've got all the hardware placed, you know, the reservoir, the radiator, the boxes. Now it's just connecting all via hoses. Now that we've got them made, just hooking it all up. It's that easy. All right, so this side where there used to be a big gas tank, one of two gas tanks in here, is now a cubby hole for some EV goodies. So here's our coolant reservoir. This is just, you know, where you can fill the coolant line, all that good stuff. It holds, you know, feed from the bottom up and then come out the back side, which goes down here to the radiator, and it's self-contained. There's no fill port on it. It'll go through there and come out here, and then when it comes out of here, it'll go up, down, and through the middle of the chassis, which then goes to the front, which we'll show in just a second. And the pump will be up in here somewhere, pulling it out of the radiator and pushing it up towards the front and around and up. And then of course we've got the air conditioner down here, because the air conditioner lines, the stock's set up. You can see them right here. They're right there. So we'll just hook this high voltage compressor up right there, and have air conditioning, which will be nice in Missouri.
Rather than me sit here and talk at you, go ahead and take a look at our beautiful handiwork for you.
All right, so this being an EV build, we should probably show you guys some electrical work. And as you can see here, this is probably like 1/10 of all the wiring we're going to be putting in this thing. So the next video, I promise, we'll start getting into electrical work. And careful what you ask for, because we've got a lot of electrical videos coming up for you. We'll catch you then. Like, share, and subscribe.
Like, share, and subscribe.
Boom, nailed it.